Today's topic, navigating conflicting priorities. I think in some sense, I am a little qualified to speak on this because I have been on the other side of culture for 14 years. And then I moved into this side. I've seen both sides. The side where the ways of the world were primary in my life, and for the last maybe 16, 17 years where the word was primary in my life. And so, let me tell you, none of this is by our merit or by the merit of the speakers or the pastors or whatever. It is just a God thing. Like I said, my biggest strategy, biggest success mantra, report to work and see God at work. Most of the time, we are not there at the place, at the designated place. So let me start today's session. I'm not sure what came up on the screen. Sorry. Okay, so we are one slide behind. Okay. So glorifying God in the workplace is a constant battle. What's thrown at us in the workplace is definitely not funny. In the garb of modernity, in the guise of wokeism, in the mask of, be practical, we are shifting the plumb line, even as believers. Instead of being salt and light, it's mostly sugar and spice. All of us need to agree. What is coated well, we walk there. What is more spicier, we move there. And ultimately, that's what we fall for. So what is the workplace dilemma? In today's professional world, we have a list of things that are commonly what we are worried about as believers. False medical bills. All of us know year-end, we're supposed to submit IT bills. How much of those medical bills are true? How much of those rent bills are true? And for those in the finance department or little more senior, how much of those account books are cooked to show more profit? And do we, if you are in positions of power, do we take some kind of gifts for, granting favors, presenting orders, or disclosing less to the tax department? All of this is corruption. So I'm just placing the dilemma before us. This is not to accuse anyone. Jealousy. How happy were you last when one of your colleagues got promoted or got a new car? How happy were you when you saw your boss fall down? This is a dilemma we all face, and I am also prone to it. I'm not standing here from here, I'm standing with you. Addictions. Working more than 50, 55 hours a week and feeling happy about it, like our good friend who set up the first IT BPO in Bangalore. Something is wrong. You need to evaluate yourself carefully. Workaholic is not God's design. And then coping up with some spirits or some grass or whatever, everything that floats around, you go and say, because I work well, I need some grass, I need some spirit. It doesn't happen that way. Oh, 1 second. Immorality. Compromising ethical standards for advancement. Now, this is something very, very toxic that I'm going to place here, but most of you know it. I know of friends, because I can't condemn them, for whom the weekdays are all about finding someone for the weekend. Okay, so 5 days is used to hunt, and Saturday night is used to party. Then those who are in senior positions will know the common term that is now being said. Sleep and fly. Do you know what that means? You sleep with me, I will enable you to fly to the US. exactly happening in this city. Young girls are being asked to sleep with people who can take the decision to send them on a H-1B. Actual. And not one or two, many. You know, so these bosses are arranging meetings to serve their biological needs, not their business needs. This is a fact running in the city of Bangalore. The next dilemma is fear. Will I lose my job? Will my clients drop? You're looking for shadows where nothing exists. This is the reality we are under. Let's not kid ourselves. We all face this. Some you may not know, but as you're growing up in the career chain, you will know that this is happening. I heard about this. Oh, this is happening right in front of me. So, keeping this as the barometer of where we are standing in the business world or in the workplace, I would like to give us a biblical perspective on work. Most of the speakers will have some of the things in common today. So I would encourage us to continue to reflect on these verses that are coming. It is by design that God has made work. Can you imagine Adam sitting in the garden, just chilling, eating the apple, eating the fruit, putting his leg by the riverside? No. God said you're going to tend the garden. That gave him value, that gave him purpose. And you know, it's always that purpose or that value, if you don't have, there is a challenge. Remember the man after God's own heart, David, and his Bathsheba moment. I always say this to many leaders. David should have been at work fighting the battle. He was chilling on his rooftop with a glass of wine and therefore peeped into the neighboring building and saw his general's wife. That's where the temptation started. He was not at his workplace. If all of us are at their workplace, chances of falling into sin are highly negligible. Purpose. The biblical perspective on purpose is do it with all your heart. You know, as children of God, we need to be good at what we do. The world must call us God's people because of our excellence, not because of, chalta hai. I see a lot of that chalta hai attitude going on, saying, God will look out for me, and yet you don't put in your full effort. Excellence must not be hidden under the garb of God's will. It's a serious question we need to ask. Then there's this logic. The logic of being at workplace is to do today excellently, today. The small steps that will be rewarded based on what we do today. Tomorrow's much comes from today's little. I can give you an example of our own company. In 2008, we got an inquiry of something to do with Spanish. We were an Indian company in Kamanhalli in Bangalore. Where do we find something to do with Spanish? But it was an opportunity God placed on our table. We need to make sure that we act on it or disown it. And one of our partners caught the plane, went to a country which we have not heard before, called Bolivia, sat in a hotel room, opened up the telephone index, called up CEOs of call centers there, tied a partnership, and that's where we started seeing 10x growth in our company. Opportunity and acting. So there is a logic. With whatever little comes into your plate, please act on it. I don't know how many of you knew NVIDIA boss Jensen Chang. If you see his interview, he says, I live for today. I don't have great plans for NVIDIA. But what I do today will design my tomorrow. So it's the today that we all need to be answerable for. The benchmark at workplace, we need to use this scales and bench balances. When you're trying to evaluate your junior, you're trying to evaluate your peer, how often do you put that honest scales to evaluate your junior? If it's a junior who's rubbing you on the wrong side, it'll be 2 marks less. It happens to believers. So it's just not in the buying and selling, but it's in our behavior also that this whole balances and honest scales comes into play. And remember, this is very clearly just like the Garden of Eden. When God walked in the cool of the afternoon, calling Adam, Adam, God is walking with us in our own gardens, which is our workplace. Remember, God is walking with us. Okay, some of the things in day-to-day life can't run on theory. So pressure to lie on reports. It's a challenge. Sometimes things don't work our way. And how do we fix it? How can we creatively show a fall in profit or a drop in performance? Can this report that you're generating be a place to ask for help or suggest an opportunity for the company? I'll give you an example. There was a time when we were running our company, there were two instances, 2008 and 2014-15. There were huge market crashes. Lehman Brothers went in 2008 and 2014. So we had to present our reports of the fall in revenue, fall in opportunity to people who matter. Now, it could be just, you could have buffed up numbers, nobody is really going to look at it, but we use that as a point of reference saying, hey, this is a problem. I think we were so stuck up in marketing in one area. I think we need to diversify our marketing strategy. And from 2014, we changed the strategy because at that point, we presented a negative in a positive way to make sure that people who matter understood that it is not really our fault, but that this happened and this is the way forward that this person has suggested. Gossip and office politics. How often do we talk negatively of a person who's not in the group? That's a clear plumb line for us to know that that's gossip. You're talking of someone, especially bad, and that person is not in the group. Do we direct the gossip to stop or go viral? You know, there are some ways where we can reconfirm no gossip by simply asking questions like, hey, were you there when this happened? And usually the guy who's saying that will say, no, I was not there, and he backs off. Or there are times when we could say, hey, I think we need to address it to that person. Let's see what he has to say before this moves forward. And I think in the office spaces, in our cubicles, in our telephone chats, in our WhatsApp chats, if today there's AI, if you feed the algorithm properly in AI and run it through your chats and your social media and say, find out all lines which has gossip, all of us will be very surprised. Unethical business practices. This is a day-to-day zindagi issue. It happens. You know, I'll just list out a few things. I don't know if many of you would have seen this, but in my life, I've seen undisclosed commissions. Your colleagues should know what you are supposed to earn, you don't say. Your boss should know what you're supposed to earn, you don't say. Bribe equivalent favors. You don't take money, but you say, I don't mind a trip to Bali. It's a bribe. You know, doing spy work to get competitive data or to get somebody from your competition. You know, can we relook at this growth at all costs? You know, we should not be doing this. I can give you an example, pre-saved days. I was working in an ad agency. I just moved from being a writer to being a creative director and then a vice president. And suddenly, administrative control came into my hand and I could sign off on purchases. And those days, we had to buy some Macs. I don't know. Those days, it was those big Mac machines which look very colorful. So I gave a contract to somebody and the guy said, hey, he came and gave me a packet. I took that packet, put it, went in the evening. My car was called as Caro Bar because there was a lot of spirits in the car, and so all of us had a good time. 2 days later, my daughter, who was 3 years old or 4 years old at that time, had a complete attack of dysentery. Whatever happened, she was in that big St. John's hospital bed in the ICU. And that day I swore. I was not a believer yet, but I knew in my heart that this is because I said, I will never again take a rupee which is not mine. And so things like this happen, and we must be very careful that we don't let it influence us and influence our decisions. Last one is overwork and neglect of personal life. Wealth and power without family and friends is like reaching the top on a plane and jumping off without a parachute. Come crashing down. It's your family and the ones who can clap for you, which makes your success relishable. Do you know the word relishable? You want to relish your success, you must have 10, 20 people who will clap hands for you. Your children, your wife, your family, your close friends, your church mates. You forget all of them, you reach the top, and like there's a saying, when you climb hard and reach the top, all that you see there is the other side of the mountain, nothing else. So, and remember one thing, most companies will try to sell you a lie. Your office folks are not family. They will keep saying this gyan, especially HR. We are like family. No, we are not family. You are my friends, you are my colleagues, my family is at home, and I need to give them separate time. So don't mix family and office colleagues. So, how do we survive and thrive as a kingdom employee? We need to pray unceasingly. And especially in my life over the last 14, 15 years, there were these many types of prayer that I've identified, and it personally helps me. It's your personal quiet time in the morning where you ask questions, God answers, you read the word. And then there is a family prayer, which shows that you value your family time, and your children and your family know that we worship the same living God. And then there is your meal prayer, then your before big event prayer. You're going for a meeting, you're flying out, you're doing something, there's a big event prayer. And there is the fasting and prayer for those who do it once a year or twice a year. It's a time where we ponder when things happen. But the last and the most important thing is I love. It's called the mumbling prayer every hour. Lord, what do I do? Lord, this is not happening. God is walking with you. Talk to Him. And He will make sure that He answers you. Seek wisdom. If any of you lack wisdom, you should ask God. For worldly experiences, we need to speak to people who have experience. There are people who have gone before you. And they have some strategies which has worked. Learn, unlearn, understand. If you speak to any successful pastor, you speak to any successful CEO, any successful entrepreneur, all of them would have had one or two mentors in their life. Someone who's sown the word of wisdom. And then you need to find community, like-minded friends who can support, as a bounce board. I can tell you in my initial days when I moved from being an employee to co-founding a company, difficult period, both as a business and in my personal life, because, you come to church on Sunday, you hear God's word, you'll say, yes. Monday morning up to Monday evening you manage. Tuesday morning, some tension happens, you light up a flame. And then you light up a smoke. And then life goes on. And by the time you reach Saturday, you're so guilty to come back to church on Sunday. So this was going on in my first 4 years, even when I was attending All People's Church. It's a process. Till I got baptized in tongues, and then I got completely delivered. In this phase, there was a person who was constantly walking with me. All of you will know him as Pastor Jayakumar, but he was a friend then. Walking with me, doesn't matter. Keep coming. We will overcome it. So you need that community. Don't belittle community, because a community or one or two people who are with you in your journey in business or corporate life is very important. For the world, many see Christ in you. If you fall, they will mock your Lord. Never forget that. You have to lead by example. In integrity and in excellence. These are the two things that we find battles with as believers. But remember, if we fail in these two matters, integrity and excellence, the world will judge us. And then last is, all protection and provision. If you look at most of our prayers, it's for either these two things. It falls in the category of protection or it falls in the category of provision. Both of these comes from God. So keep trusting that old hymn. I just keep trusting in my Lord. He will never fail. And I think that's a mandate for us in the workplace. Keep trusting in God. He will never fail. Your provision and your protection will come from Him. Now, this is the success story. All of us want to be number one. You know, the top performer, the highest earner, or the fastest climber. You see, many of you, if you are in sales, you will know there's always that sales room where people ring the bell and say, this guy cracked this deal. It's almost a competition every hour. Every hour there's a competition, and those who are not able to close the deal will feel so bad by the end of the day. Don't worry. There's a pitfall of short-term thinking. Winning a deal, making an extra buck, doing immoral stuff, making black money by not disclosing, such a simple sin. Just don't disclose your money. Black money. All are so short-term gains that you will definitely lose your peace in the immediate aftermath. Unless our hearts are calloused, like you are a multiple murder or something, most of us and most normal people have a conscience. The moment we cross the line in these small matters, our hearts will start pricking in the night. And that's something that we need to answer and rectify ourselves. And also know that ethical success is quite rare. A French writer has written a statement, show me a success story and I will show you a crime. Most success stories have a crime behind them. And that's how the world evaluates success, because it doesn't matter, what happened. They're just interested in what you are. Because for us as believers, we need to enter through the narrow gate and not the wide gate. I've just left some biblical verses for lack of time. I just thought maybe you can read that, and I'm not reading it here when I'm presenting. True success is measured over a 30-year period. You look at people who have been successful and you call them, you see how they've moved from 35 to 55 or from 30 to 60. Despite the ups and downs, just like the stock market, you will see that they have moved up the ladder in a manner which has brought them peace and joy. And success has come after that. All through those 30 years, because of the Lord, they've experienced peace, joy, and then when they look back, they will see success over the last 30 years. This is a story that even from our company, from 25 employees to 5,000 employees, we ourselves didn't know. I was called by a leading firm to come and give a talk on how Flatworld strategized. I said, I have no strategy. God showed me a door to open, I knock on that door. God asked me to go here, I went there. So if I give you a strategy of how my company grew, I'll be lying through my teeth. And so sorry, I cannot come for that presentation. So this is the reality. Your success should be measured only over a long-term perspective. Don't say, 2 years, I never got a promotion. 5 years, I never got a promotion. You see, the testimony that came from Tarun, first 11 years, from Mohan, first 11 years, no promotion. Next 4 years, 5 promotions. You take the average, in 15 years, he got 5 promotions. So God will make things out right for you. Let's stay on the right side. We need to redefine our success metric with God's values. God gives us free will to take the easy route. But perseverance, fairness, learning, seeking, non-violence, being peacemakers, staying humble in success all matter in the new definition of kingdom success. Because only then that verse will come true. All the others will be added unto you. What is the legacy you're leaving behind? What's going to be your epitaph? The world's richest man with 3-4 wives, a list of kids, some of whom have run away from home. What do you want to be known for? Success through any means or success through one means? The Bible. Look at some of the world's successful people. Their own kids are not proud of them. IT SARs who are suspected of being pedophiles, others who have destroyed communities. So we need to be careful. What is the legacy we leave behind? It matters. And then comes the last question. Are we able to balance ambition and faith? It's possible. Remember, if it's the Lord's will for man to work, then it's the Lord's will to give you success. That is the truth. So don't let the devil give you some story to twist your mind. If it's the Lord's will for you to work, then it's the Lord's will for you to succeed. Timing is in His hand, but success is guaranteed. Your ambition, when submitted to God, becomes a potent weapon for God to use. I remember when we started our business, it was based on a book that one of the co-founders found in the Methodist Church. It was Business as a Mission. So we all wanted to do very well in business and asked God to give us a purpose for having that ambition. And so the purpose was to serve from the business profits the missions across the world. And so that ambition that we had became a potent weapon in the hands of God, that we were able to serve so many communities across the world, from prisons in North Carolina to prisons in Parappanagrahara in Bangalore. A lot of people have benefited from this ambition that God placed in our heart. Faith conquers fear. Love conquers hate. And peace conquers strife. This is the story of the Word over the world. Let's not forget this. So, what is the standard of the Word? It's there for us. Jesus said it on the Sermon on the Mount. Just for a moment, step back and just imagine all those 5,000 people would be workplace professionals. And then when you read, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Just imagine you're there, all of you wearing your suits, listening to Jesus. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Are you mourning with your fellow colleagues who are going through difficulties? Or are you just stopping it and moving on? Blessed are the meek. Are you humble enough? Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Do you stand for righteousness? Blessed are the merciful. Do you give mercy the way you get mercy? Blessed are the pure in heart. God judges your heart. Blessed are the peacemakers. Do you stop fights or do you create fights by adding some fuel? Blessed are those who are persecuted because of my name. So when you stand in your company as a Christian, don't think life is going to be easy. So this is the standard of the Word. It's there in the Bible. Just that we just need to change the context for us. Our goal should be to glorify God. Remember, it's just not about how we reached, it's about how we climbed. Because it will come back to bite you. Many people have finished their role, they finished their CEO function, they have retired, and then it's come to bite them because of what they've done in the last 10 or 15 years of their life. It could be a sexual harassment complaint, it could be a financial misappropriation complaint. So it's not really about the top, it's about the climb to the top. Be very, very careful. Each of us are at different age groups. We are doing different types of climbing. But remember, always, always have the Lord with you. By keeping our eyes fixed on eternal values, we can navigate the challenges. Because we need to leave a positive impact much beyond our careers. Who is XYZ? He was a person who lived his life well. He brought so many people to the Lord. His family is blessed. His children are doing well. And he's also made a lot of money. That should be our story. Rather than, oh wow, fantastic man. He made a lot of money, but everything else went for a 6. So please, let's be careful. Remember, in the world, you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. As we traverse this journey, it is the word. I'm coming back to the statement, the word over the world. It is the word that is going to be a lamp unto our feet. There are many times I was extremely depressed. There are many times I've had situations where I did not know how to solve. There were many times where I thought I had a lot of contacts. I had a false case put on me, and the police were looking out for me. And I took it very easy. The first person I called in one party didn't pick up my phone. Maybe he was in a meeting. The next minister I called in Delhi didn't pick up my phone. Suddenly, I get a call from my lawyer saying, please switch off your phone. Police are tracking you. They're coming to pick you up. Completely helpless. It is on those days that you'll remember that it is the word which is a lamp unto my feet. And for me, the verse that came to me that day was, fear not, I will not leave you nor forsake you. Such a simple statement, but in a point of fear, in a point of helplessness, this is what matters. Finally, Bible intelligence for business. Pray unceasingly for faith that can move the mountains. You need it at the workplace. Plan. Please discuss. Please take advice. Please document and understand God's plans to prosper. His plan is to prosper us, not punish us. But we need to do some planning and understanding and presenting to people who have gone before us, who are great men of God or people who have been ethical businessmen. We need to speak and plan. We need to compete hard. We need to play the game well. But we need to play it fair. Sometimes we need to learn. We need to unlearn. I remember when I switched from advertising to this IT and BPO business, there were so many things I didn't know. I used to come back from work at 3 a.m. in the morning. I used to read books that I have to learn about engineering and other stuff, because the next day I am taking the evaluation of the engineering manager, and I myself don't know what that was. And so we need to learn, unlearn, and compete. We need to be a champion. There's nothing wrong in having that ambition, because when you're having an ambition to be a champion, you're standing for the Lord, because that's the excellence that the world sees. And whatever you do, do it unto the Lord. Last, pay your taxes, pay your vendors, pay your employees, pay your bills, and bear no debt. What is unto Caesar and what is to the worker is rightfully theirs. I know of many people who take some money in cash for some bills, and some are unaccounted for, some are done. Remember, you can cheat the taxman, but the word of the Lord says, give unto Caesar what is his. So if we are living in this country and we are making money out of the facilities provided by this country, out of the opportunity that this country provides, then it is rightful that we pay our taxes. If we are working and setting up a company and you have 50 people who are the reason for your success, make sure they get paid, and they get paid what is promised. In the early years of our life, of our business life, I still remember every 25th of the month we used to get so tensed, because at that time we had maybe 100, 150 people, salaries to be paid. Client has not paid, we don't have money. All the founders, a couple of them go to and nobody gives us a loan, because we are first generation entrepreneurs. We have no assets, no property, nothing. So take the credit card, go put it in, take out cash, come and put it in the company bank to make sure that on the first of the month, all employees get paid. And for the last 22 years, in good times and bad, Every single employee has been paid on the first. And for a small company, which has now become a mid-sized company, it is all glory to God. It's not that we had money all the time. But the same thing that you cannot take away the credit of somebody who has worked for you. Bear no debt. Please do not take money that you cannot repay. Please do not take money that is beyond your means, because you are then going to go, you will then be pressurized for doing things that is against your values. Like you have bills that constitute 80% or 70% of your salary or your income, and then you get into a situation where you have to say yes or no to an ethical issue. You know, if you say no, I will lose my job, and then I don't have a new job, and the bills will keep hitting my bank. So please manage debt and finance properly if you want to stay on the ethical side of business. Thankfully, I can say that to graduate from God's school of technology and management, all we need is the grace to say, Lord, please help me today. Show me the way, one day at a time.